As many of you already saw, yesterday was a very big night because of the fact that Trump and Elon Musk came together and they were supposed to do, or they actually did, do a X space. And it was just a conversation. And this is the most important thing about what Elon Musk has planned for X/Twitter is the fact that it's a real conversation and a real social media platform where people can just have an interview with each other in a style of a conversation so you can really see how the person really is. And that's the most important thing about a politician, and that's what we really don't see about our politicians anymore, is about how they really are. Yes, you can have your 1 minute little speech that's already pre-planned, and that's what you're going to use at the debate, and that's what you're going to use. They have their 30-second policy segment already cut out. They have their 1 minute, they have their 2 minute, and they have their 5 minute explanation of exactly what they want to pass while they're president and all that. But seeing somebody in the real conversation form is completely different. And what Elon Musk did yesterday is history in the making. And this had gotten so much traction that it actually broke the Twitter servers and it actually crashed the space. Now, people could not even go into the space at the very beginning of it. It was supposed to take place 8 p.m. sharp, and I was there at 7:50 just waiting. I heard the elevator music, as a lot of people were talking about. I heard that, and I was waiting. 8 o'clock came around, and I saw Elon Musk posted an update saying that there was a DDoS attack and that people were actively trying to take the interview down, which is not right whatsoever because of the fact that this is exactly what's supposed to be happening in our political sphere, is a real conversation between one person and another person, so you can exactly see what the policies that they want to implement are going to be in the exact thing that they want to actually pass. That's the most important thing about all of this, is seeing the real person, seeing exactly what people want to do. But Elon Musk already sent the invite over to Kamala Harris just in case she wanted to do it. But of course, she's not going to do it because of the fact that she knows that she's not going to be able to do it. She knows that she's not going to be able to talk to somebody for 3.5 hours straight. And she knows for a fact that if she does, then her whole entire career would be over because she has no answers for anything. And I like the fact that if Elon Musk didn't get an answer to the question that he asked, he would just ask it again. So it was very, very impressive. It was a very, very interesting interview, and we will be going over all of the highlights. Digging into the first one here, we have President Trump opens up with his historic X interview and says that, quote, "I see you broke every single record in the book with so many millions of people. It's an honor." Here's a clip here.
We had a great conversation yesterday. As you mentioned yesterday, if we could just record that conversation and post it, it would have been excellent. And I hope we can have something like that today.
Well, I think we will. I'm pretty sure we will. And congratulations, because I see you broke every record in the book with so many millions of people. And it's an honor. We view that as an honor.
Of course, and it is an honor for you to actually break the Twitter servers because you have so many people wanting to see you. Moving on to the next one, we have President Trump on the assassination attempt. One of the miracles that nobody ran throughout the whole entire Trump rally, and that's because of the fact that they knew that they were going to be protected. Here's a clip.
One of the miracles was that nobody ran. I mean, if a gun goes off, the crowd control people showed us this. When guns go off, and it does happen in stadiums at a soccer match or some kind of a match, everybody flees. They call it a stampede, like cattle. But everybody, and a lot of people get killed with those stampedes. We had more people than you'd have at, some of these matches or these games, and nobody left. You had a small group behind us in the grandstand, and that was full. And you look at it as it was taking place, and normally they'd be running. They didn't leave. They saw that I was hurt. They saw a lot of blood, and they saw that I went down. And it's almost like they wanted to be with me. Well, out front, you had thousands, tens of thousands of people. As far as the eye could see, you had people in Butler, as far as the eye could see. And a lot of press, too. There were, many cameras on watching this. It's what makes it so different, because normally things happen that aren't good, but you never have a picture of it. Here we have all these cameras shooting it. So, sort of amazing. But one of the interesting things was that you didn't have anybody flee. You didn't have anybody stampede.
Sure.
Nobody. And there were some people behind me. They stood up and they're looking like, I mean, I'll tell you, you want to have them in a foxhole with you. I want to meet some of those people.
Yeah, and that would be very interesting too if you were to meet some of the people that actually survived the assassination attempt, because of the fact that they did witness this, and you can see firsthand exactly what they saw and exactly what they were feeling like. Very interesting stuff here. He also says that he knew immediately that it was a bullet, and he knew immediately that he was hit in the ear. Here's a quote here.
I knew immediately that it was a bullet. I knew immediately that it was at the ear.
Yeah.
And because it hit very hard, but hit the ear. And I also heard people shout, bullets, bullets, get down, because I moved down pretty nicely, pretty quickly. And we had bullets flying right over my head after I went down. So I'm glad I went down. The bigger miracle was that I was looking in the exact direction of the shooter. And so it hit me at an angle that was far less destructive than any other angle. So that was the miracle. That was, for those people that don't believe in God, I think we got to all start thinking about that. You have to, I'm a believer. Now I'm more of a believer, I think. And a lot of people have said that to me. A lot of great people have said that to me, actually.
Yeah, and I completely agree, because there is nothing short of a miracle that happened that day, because of the fact that obviously he's still here. He's still here because of the fact that God said that it wasn't his time, and that's completely true. Here's the next clip here.
But he totally would have hit if you hadn't turned your head. So there was it was a very near thing.
It was a miracle. If I hadn't turned my head, I would not be talking to you right now. As much as I like you,
exactly,
I would not.
Yeah,
I would not be talking.
Maybe talking to me from another realm, perhaps.
Yeah, that's right. We'd be talking from a different place. But it was a very terrible experience. The Butler Hospital, they did such a great job. The doctors were so good. Everybody was so good.
But
yeah, and I completely agree with that, because of the fact that it is a miracle. And if he turned his head literally 1 millimeter over, then he wouldn't be here right now. Sad thing.
Was the illegal immigrant? Well, and I mean, speaking of the sort of slide that got you to turn, that saved your life, really, was the illegal immigration slide. Maybe this,
right.
Maybe this is worth talking about that.
It was
that slide saved your life.
No, the illegal immigration saved my life. You're right, but it had to be at that exact angle.
I mean, that's a great one.
Elon Musk is just so real. It's so funny because of the fact that that's exactly what I was laughing at that point too, because of the fact that Trump is just an entertaining guy. He's just funny. Like, illegal immigration saved my life. It's just funny. I mean, yeah, it technically did. It technically did save your life, but of course it's just a joke. But then in the reality side, it's actually killing us, the American people, and that's why it's funny. It's funny because that's ironic. That's exactly why. It's not funny because it's hilarious.
By illegal
immigration. You know, the incredible thing though, when you talk about the odds, you had to be exactly at that angle.
Yeah, and I completely agree. You actually had to be at that angle, and if you were at any other angle, you would die. You would get killed.
What I find admirable there was that you can't fake bravery under such circumstances. The courage is instinctual, or it is not. It's not a rehearsed action. And so I just want to say that I think a lot of people admire your courage under fire there. And so
thank you very much. I appreciate it. I didn't think of it. I just wanted to get up. And I wanted to stand up. I wanted to let people know, I felt I was good when they were on top of me, covering me, actually, very much covering me and very bravely. But I wanted to get up. I said, I want to get up. And they wanted, they have everything there. They wanted stretcher. I didn't like the stretcher. And I knew I was hit in the ear, but I knew I wasn't hit anywhere else. They felt I was hit someplace else because it was such a lot of blood. And they were sure that I was hit someplace else. And they were saying, sir, you were hit more than the ear. I said, nope, I was hit in the ear. I want to get up. Let me get up. And so I got up, and the crowd didn't know what to think. I mean, this was so many people, and you could see they were confused. They didn't know what to think. And I wanted to let them know I was okay. It was very important for me to let them
Yeah.
know that, and they went wild. You've seen the after. They didn't go wild when I
Yeah.
got up because they didn't know was I alive. You really couldn't tell when I stood up before the hand, before the the fist in the air. Uh, they didn't know if I was alive. Nobody did. And when I put the fist up, they were just relieved and happy and thrilled, and the place went crazy.
Yeah, because of the fact that people didn't know at that time that you were actually shot at. People were just like, what the heck was that? And then people were like getting down. Obviously, the people behind Trump, they obviously knew it was a bullet because that person, the firefighter, ended up dying and getting killed. So obviously, those people, they knew that they needed a medic. They knew that they needed an emergency, like they knew that they needed a first responder. But the thing is, also at the same exact time, everybody else not really seeing that, they didn't know what's going on. They were all confused. So it's very, very, I just can't explain how those people would be feeling at that very time, because of the fact that you don't know if the bullets are going to keep coming. You don't know if they actually shot the shooter. They don't know. You don't know anything at that very time because it literally just happened. And you would think that you would have some more, um, you would think that you would have some more belief system in our government to actually perfect the the um the safety and the actually complete the perimeter of the whole entire area that's surrounding Trump. You would think that they would have that under control, so then they would not actually have an event like this happen. I mean, if it was going to happen that Trump was assassinated, then it would be the second assassination that the president has ever had, one of our presidents have had. And that's obviously JFK, and then now that's going to be Trump. So it's very disappointing. It's very, very disgusting how this could even take place. A lot of people need to be fired in the DOJ. A lot of people need to get fired in the Secret Service. Disappointing, to say
It
the
was
least.
pretty amazing.
Yeah.
It was a
Well,
terrible thing, but
it was
really nice.
incredibly moving. Yeah.
Exactly. It
You know,
definitely was. Moving into the next clip here,
Chart
we have
was just,
this one.
Elon. The chart was just a chart that in my last week we had the best illegal immigration numbers, meaning stopping. It was at the lowest. You've seen the chart. It's become quite a famous
yeah.
chart,
Yeah.
but that was the lowest
Yeah.
point ever recorded. It was a really, I mean, I was very proud of those numbers. And then you see what happened with these people, Kamala and Joe. You see what happened. They just let it go. I had remain in Mexico policies. I had all these different policies that was so good. Uh, Guys like Tom Homan and Brandon Judd from Border Patrol. All these are all people that they've been on television. They says the best numbers we've ever had. We had so many different checks, catch and release in Mexico, not the United. We had catch and release in the United States. We had it in Mexico. We had so many things. We had things where if people, many people come in there, they have contagious diseases. We had everything passed. If you have a contagious disease, I'm sorry, but we cannot allow you into the country. So we were
No, and I
setting
completely
literally
agree. I completely agree, because if we do have any diseases, why are we going to allow that to spread here in America? No, you come back when you're actually, perfect. Come back when you're not sick, and then we'll think about letting you into this country.
records, and I all I was doing is showing that, and I use it sometimes,
Sure.
and in this case, I'm glad I used it. I can tell you that, but they were fantastic numbers. But I'm going to sleep with that chart always. I'll be
Yeah, I would
sleeping with
too.
that chart. That chart was very important.
I
I don't know.
completely
Elon, the
agree. I would
chart.
sleep with that. I would sleep with that chart too, because of the fact that it saved your life. And he is again saying that he's not scared to go back to Butler. This is him saying that.
What were you about to say about illegal immigration before you were rudely interrupted with a
Well, I was
bullet?
going to say how good the
Uh,
numbers were. By the way, we're going back to Butler,
Good. And
and
it shows
we're
the
going to
Great.
go.
people that you're not scared. You're actually brave for doing so, because you're like, I'm going back there where I was attempted to be assassinated, and we will be going back there and showing them that I'm not scared. I completely agree with this. This is a power move by Trump.
Back in October. We're all set up, and the people are fantastic in Butler. It's a great area. Great. These are incredible people. like the three that, in the case of Corey, killed, and the other two, the families are. I got to know them a little bit, and the families are great. But we're going back to Butler, and I think I'll probably start by saying, as I was saying,
As, yeah, as you
prior
were
to
saying,
being
exactly.
so horribly
So,
interrupted.
yeah.
But
Yeah, so rudely interrupted by an
yeah,
assassination
so it was,
attempt.
Exactly.
What were you about to say about illegal immigration before you were rudely interrupted with a
well, I was
bullet?
No,
going to
I
say how
completely
good to
agree
know.
because he should do that. He should say that and say, listen, before I was rudely interrupted by the bullet. That'd be actually really funny if he was to do so. This is the next clip about Kamala actually stealing his no tax on tips thing.
He's making a speech and there will be no tax on tips. I said that months ago. And by the way, they had just the opposite. They had not only tax on tips, but they hired 88,000 IRS agents,
Yes.
and many of them were assigned to go get waitresses and caddies and all of this on tips. They have a policy. They had a policy that they were really going to go after you, and were really harassing people horribly.
They
And then
are, and not only that, but they also tried to put a system through that would actually universally share this, that every single restaurant that actually has tips would actually have a universal system that you can report your tips to the IRS. So not only did they want you to pay the IRS for your tips, but they also were incentivizing these businesses to have a new system that it would be easier for you to report those very tips to the IRS. So now they're changing positions just because Trump said it. It's disgusting. Make up your own positions.
all of a sudden, for politics, she says, she comes out with what I said, which I think is terrible. And I think it's also hitting them very hard. These people are fake.
Yeah, they
Making a
really
speech
are. They really are because of the fact that they just copy everything that Trump did. Just like how I said yesterday, Joe Biden tried to turn into Trump by spray painting himself orange, and now Kamala Harris is trying to actually just turn into Trump altogether. This is actually Trump exposing the border czar, Kamala Harris.
and she's in charge of it because now she's trying to say she
Sure.
had nothing to do with it, and she's such a liar because she was called the border czar the first day, and it was on the headlines of every newspaper.
Yeah, and I
She's the border
completely
czar.
agree.
And she never even went there. She went to one location which had nothing to do with where the problem is.
No.
She went in and out, I
Right.
guess, because she was.
Well,
getting
she
off.
went into that small bordered town and they cleaned up the whole entire city. They put away the homelessness. They cleaned up the streets. You could see them power washing. And then what she did was she took a photo op, she took a video there, and then she just left. And then as soon as she left, all the illegal aliens came back into the cities. They destroyed the city again, and that's it. But they'll clean it up if Kamala Harris comes by with some cameras, of course. I mean, it's disgusting here. It's all for show.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
had nothing to do with the problem.
Yeah.
But she was
Well,
the border czar, and people
Yeah, yeah.
can't allow them to get away with their disinformation campaign. Now she's trying to say that she wasn't really involved, and the whole thing is horrible. She was totally in charge. She could have shut the border down without him. He didn't know what he was doing anyway. So
No,
he
of
wouldn't have
course not. Joe Biden is just on the beach of Delaware. He does not know what he's doing. I completely agree with that. And Kamala Harris was taking responsibility of the border, and that's because of the fact that Joe Biden said that that's the best person that he knows for that job. So Joe Biden said that himself, and Kamala Harris had every single chance in the world to do some good for the border, and of course she didn't want to do that.
to know
Yeah.
what happened. You could shut the border down. He
Yeah.
wouldn't even know the difference.
No,
But
he wouldn't.
the fact is that she was border czar. But if you don't have to call her
Yes.
that, the fact is you could just call her. She was in charge of the border, and the border was the worst
Right.
ever.
Of course,
And
I
she-
completely agree. I mean, a lot of people are saying, oh, no, there's not a specific thing called border czar. Well, it doesn't really matter because she was in charge of the border. If you want to call her border czar, if you don't want to call her border czar, she's responsible for millions and millions of people coming in every single month. And Trump talks about this here.
There's never been a country in history that has had a catastrophe like this. We've had, I believe, and I think you believe this too. You hear 12
Yeah.
million, 13. I believe it's over 20 million people came into our country, many
Yeah.
coming from jails, from prisons, from mental institutions, or a bigger version of that is
Yeah.
insane asylums, and many are terrorists. And I'll tell you what, they're coming not just from South America, they're coming from Africa, they're coming from all over the world. They're coming from Asia,
Yeah.
they're coming from the Middle East, they're coming from countries that are stupidly and horribly bombing Israel October 7th. They're
I
coming.
completely agree. So the point that he's trying to make here is that these people that are coming into this country illegally are not the best. These are the people that these countries don't even want. Those are the MS-13 members in Mexico and the cartels and stuff like that. Those are the people that these countries don't want. That's exactly why when Trump went to try to send these people back, those countries said, nah, I don't want them, I don't want them. And he said, how much do we pay you every single year? You're not going to get any payment if you don't take back these people. You better look who you're talking to, because you're talking to the president of America. And then they said, well, actually, I think we do have some space for them. I would gladly take them back. That's what I thought. So if you start threatening these countries, which is powerful, instead of just sleeping on the job, going in Delaware, just, oh, I'm sorry, don't. That's exactly what Joe Biden's foreign policy is. Of course, the countries are going to start listening to you.
From all over the world. And you know, you look at, it's so sad, October 7th, because it should have never happened.
Of course.
It's so sad
Sure.
when you look at Ukraine. It should have never happened.
No.
We have a defective
Yeah.
government. These are defective people, and they're not people that should be running it. But where you see it the best is the border, because you have millions of people coming in a month, and then she gets up and she tries to pretend like she's going to do something. She had
No,
3.5
she's
years.
not.
And by the way,
Exactly.
they have another 5 months that they can do something, but
Exactly.
they won't do anything.
No, they won't.
It's all talk. She's
No.
incompetent and he's incompetent. And frankly, I think that she's more incompetent than he is. And that's saying something. 'Cause
Exactly. He's losing his mind. That means that she is actually she's going more insane than actual Joe Biden is, and that's saying something. That's exactly it. Yeah, no, I completely agree. She had so many years already, and she didn't do anything. What's she waiting for now? He said that he beat Biden so bad in the debate that he was forced to exit the race, which is the greatest performance on any debate ever. I completely agree with this.
Don't forget, I beat Biden. He failed in the debate miserably. And, you know, some people said, oh, gee, it's too bad. It's too bad he did so badly, or I did well in the debate. You know, the first night they said, wow, one of the people at CNN said that was the greatest debate performance I've ever witnessed. And then 2 days later, they didn't talk about that. They just said he was bad. But that's okay. That's the way I get treated, and I don't mind that at all. What I can tell you is this. We cannot have a Democrat. We cannot have her. She's incompetent. She's as bad as Biden in a different.
Yeah.
Look, she hasn't done an interview since this whole
Exactly.
scam
It's
started.
been 22 days today. Well, maybe even more. 23 days today or something like that. That there has been 0 questions asked, and she doesn't even have anything scheduled, and she's not going to have anything scheduled, at least on the calendar, until later this month. So never mind that. There's not going to be an interview this month. There's not going to be an interview until later next month. After the debate, that's when there's going to be an interview. So that's disgusting. Why is it that the candidate that is running for the Democratic Party is not answering questions? Where are these journalists? Why are they not making a scene about this? Because I definitely would. We don't know anything about the candidate. Or most of the people don't know anything about the candidate, and they just automatically, oh, I want to vote. Oh, I love Kamala. I love her. I love her. I love her. I love her. Okay, so what do you like about her? She's a woman, she's a girl, and she's not a man. Okay, well, that's nice, but the thing is, we need some actual policies here. We need an actual leader. We don't just need a woman that's not a girl, that's not a man. That's a girl, that's not a man, exactly. So I just don't understand here. What is your point? Your point is just the sexism against a man. That's exactly what it is here. Don't try to rephrase it into your, whoa, cupcakes and rainbows. No, it's not that whatsoever.
And say what you want. This was a coup. This was a coup of a president of the United States. He didn't want to leave, and they said we can do it the nice way or we can do it the hard way.
Completely agree.
I mean, they just took him out back behind the shed and basically shot him.
Exactly.
No, what they did with this guy, and I'm no fan of his, and he was a horrible president, the worst president in history.
I completely agree with that. Yeah, they did take him behind, and they shot him. They said, no, I'm not going to deal with your BS. And then they said, nope, you're not going to be running for president. Oh, Joey B., you're not going to do it. Of course, 100% on that. If Kamala gets in, then we'll have a 50 to 60 million illegal aliens come into this country. I completely agree.
This is a fundamental existential issue for the United States. And if we have another 4 more years of open borders, and it's going to be even worse with another 4 more years. It's going to be even worse than it's been for the past 3.5 years. I'm not sure we've got a country
You don't
left
have a
No,
country
at that
left.
point.
we don't.
Elon, if they get in, you will have 50 to 60 million people from all over the world, not South America only. You know, we think of South America, we think of Honduras and El Salvador, Guatemala, and Mexico, you know, the four. But it's not that. It's everywhere. They're
Yep.
coming in from
Yeah,
everywhere. And I had to stay in
yeah, I think
Mexico.
this is a super important
Yeah.
point. Like people, it's like basically when I went down there, I was like, well, where are people from? It's like almost no one was from Mexico. To be
No,
clear,
Mexico
it's
less,
just
less
it's
of
just the
the others.
border. It's just the border with Mexico. But the people coming in, it's Earth, the rest of Earth, and America is only about 4 or 5% of the population of Earth. It would only take a few percent of the rest of Earth to overwhelm everything in the
We're
U.S.
already
So
overwhelmed, Elon. We're overwhelmed. You had to see the news tonight about New York. New York, and I love that place, and what they're doing to it is horrible.
And I
I think this
completely
is a
agree with that because they're ruining our great country because of the fact that they want to have their leftist policies. And of course, they want to push a particular agenda. They want to push the agenda that they're going to have so many illegal aliens come right into this border. And it's obviously not a good thing. It's obviously not something that we should be very happy of because of the fact that America is no longer going to be the melting pot. America can't be a melting pot if our our country that we once had. We can't be a melting pot if we don't have a unity as Americans and say that we have a combined history here. We can't have a melting pot if so many different people talk so many different languages. We can't be a melting pot of America. It's sad. It's the reality of the situation here. He now talks about the Nord Stream XL pipeline.
We would talk a lot about Ukraine. It was the apple of his eye. But I said, don't ever do it. Don't ever do it. You know, I shut down Nord Stream 2. That was the big oil pipeline, the biggest, I think, the biggest pipeline in the world going all over Europe. I shut it down. Biden came, and then they say,
yeah.
I loved Russia. I was a friend of Putin, and I loved Russia. No, he actually said to me one time, he said, if you're my friend, I'd hate to see you as an enemy. I shut down his pipeline, the biggest pipeline. They were looking at that to
Yeah.
fund, and this pathetic president gets in there, and the first thing he did, one of the early things he did, is he shut down Keystone XL pipeline, which is our pipeline that would have employed 48,000 people, pipeline workers.
I completely agree because that's the thing here because of the fact that Joe Biden looked at it and said, "Oh, well, Trump actually shut down the Nord Stream 2 pipeline. Well, I'm actually going to actually shut down the Nord Stream XL pipeline, which is our pipeline, but their pipeline, Russia's pipeline, is actually Nord Stream 2 pipeline." So, of course, the technicality of the name, Joe Biden does not know how to actually read. He's like, shut it down, and then open this one up. Like, it just doesn't make any sense. What are you even doing here?
Shuts it down. That was, a massive job that Obama refused to allow.
Yeah.
I allowed it in my first week because it was jobs and it moved oil. And by the way, in a
Completely
much
agree.
more environmentally friendly way. It's
Of course,
underground. It's
of
not
course. I completely agree with that because of the fact that how are you supposed to move this oil if it wasn't for these pipelines? Well, this is how you actually move it in barrels on trains, putting out coal. So would you rather have a pipe that's actually doing it and you could just move the oil, or would you rather it be on barrels on the back of a train because it's still going to get to its final destination no matter what you want to say? No environmentalist is going to prevent that from happening. It's just the reality.
truck that catches on fire or a train that catches on fire. But think of it. He shut down the XL pipeline, the Keystone XL pipeline.
Yeah.
He shuts that down, and he approves the Russian pipeline.
It just doesn't make
Yeah,
any
it
sense.
doesn't make any
Right?
sense. It's inconsistent.
No, I completely agree with that. Yeah, the technicality of the two names here, the Nord Stream 2 pipeline is the Russian pipeline, and the Keystone XL pipeline is our pipeline. So Trump and Elon Musk just break that down right now because of the fact that they know more than what Joe Biden knows, apparently, because of the fact that Joe Biden's over here shutting down their own pipelines. What are you even talking about here?
Now all the horror that you look at Israel, they're all waiting for an attack from Iran. Iran would not be attacking, believe me. You know, when I was there, and I say it with respect because I think we would have been good with Iran. I don't want to do anything bad to Iran, but they knew not to mess around. Iran was broke because I told China, if you buy from Iran oil, it's all about the oil. That's where the money is. But if you buy oil from Iran, you're not going to do any business with the United States. And I meant it. And they said, we'll
Yeah,
pass.
yeah,
They didn't buy oil. Other countries, likewise.
sure.
You want to buy, you're not doing business with the United States. And they were at a point where they had no money for Hamas. They had no money for Hezbollah. They had no money for any of these instruments of terror.
I completely agree with this because of the fact that we also froze their assets, $8 billion worth of assets. And then Joe Biden comes over here and says, if you behave and you don't use it for terror, I'll give you back this $8 billion. And they're like, it's okay. We have $8 billion. We'll use our $8 billion, right, President, for terror. And we can use your $8 billion to pay for our bills. How do you like that, Mr. President? And Joe Biden's like, hee hee, I like it. So, of course, they just bamboozled Joe Biden because all they have to say is, look over there, there's a kitten. And Joe Biden's like, oh? And then Joe Biden looks over there, and then they just commit terror. And then he looks back over here, and he's like, Doy, where's the kitten? Well, of course, I mean, they literally just distracted you. They're causing terror abroad, and you're over here on the beach of Delaware. So, I mean, it's just upsetting. It really is. It's a little, I mean, it's not just a little pathetic. It really is pathetic. It's a horror show. Really is.
And it was amazing. In fact, there were articles when I was leaving, which is hard to believe, actually, especially when you look at what's happened to our country. Our country is so bad right now.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
such a different place.
It is.
We were respected. Think of it. 4 years ago, we were so respected to a point where when I said don't buy oil, they didn't buy oil. But they had no money, and Israel would have never been attacked. Zero chance.
I completely agree with that because of the fact that Trump was actually strong with other countries, not just letting other countries walk all over America like Joe Biden is doing.
I said, what's the biggest problem? He said, North Korea. I had that problem worked out very quickly. It was nasty at the beginning with Rocket Man and, you know, all the different
it's so
things.
funny with Rocket Man. North Korean Xi Jinping, Kim Jong-un. Kim Jong-un is over here, and he's like, I have a red button on my desk, Trump. And then Trump's over here saying, I have a red button too. Mine's a lot bigger, a lot redder, and it does a lot more damage than yours ever will. Don't try me, Kim Jong-un. And Kim Jong-un was like, oh, what? It's just so funny. It really is.
All of a sudden, I got a call.
Those were some epic tweets, by the way.
Yeah, they were. No,
like
they were
absolutely...
epic. Everything. He said that he has a red button on his desk. I said, I have a red button on my desk too, but my red button is much bigger, and my red button works. And then I called him Little Rocket Man, if Little Rocket Man. Anyway.
It's true. He is a little rocket man. It's just funny. It's just hilarious. Trump, I was dying during this part. It's just genuinely funny. Like, Trump is just an entertaining guy. You cannot listen to that and not laugh. Even people that are Democrats in my family, they call Kim Jong-un Little Rocket Man still from Trump because it's just funny. His nicknames just stick. I mean, it's not even just like he throws a bunch of nicknames at the wall. It's just his nicknames just stick, and it's entertaining. It's so funny.
What's the biggest problem? He said, North Korea. I had that problem.
Oh, yeah, no. We just watched this clip here.
I think people underrate the risk of World War III. And it's just, when you're looking at the risk of global thermonuclear warfare, it's game over for humanity. And, it's something that people have, I think, after the end of the Cold War, people have become complacent about, but they actually have forgotten that there are currently a lot of nuclear missiles that have targeting parameters for the United States from
100%.
other countries.
And one of the things we're going to do is we're going to build an Iron Dome over us. Israel has it. We're going to have the best Iron Dome in the world. We need it, and we're going to make it all in the United States. But
I completely agree with that. We should have an Iron Dome because of the fact that why do other countries get to have an Iron Dome and America doesn't have an Iron Dome? We can't even protect ourselves if a missile comes out. We're going to have to say, get the missile, boom, and we're going to be like stressing out over here. No, the Iron Dome is just going to boom, and it's going to shoot it right out of the sky. America should have an Iron Dome. I completely agree with that. And if it is made in America, that's going to even be better for American jobs. So keep things made in America, really.
We're going to have protection. because it just takes one maniac to, start something. We're going to have protection, and we're going to have. Why shouldn't we have an Iron Dome?
I
Israel has
completely
one.
agree.
Some other places
Yeah.
have one that nobody even knows about, frankly. But Israel has it. We're going to have an Iron Dome.
I
I
completely
think
agree.
people.
We should have an Iron Dome, 100%.
I always
Yeah.
say that we have enemies on the outside and we have enemies on the inside. We have some really bad people in our government and people that are and controlling of the people. I mean, I'd mention names, but I really don't want to give them the credit. But we have some really bad, and I say they're more dangerous than Russia and China. If you have a smart president, a president that gets it, we are not in danger from those countries because they need us and they need our help. I mean, we forced Obama, if you think about it, Obama and Biden and Bush to a certain extent, in all fairness, forced Russia and China together. And if you're a history student, the first thing you learn is you cannot let Russia and China align. But then they also got, if you take a look, Iran, and they have North Korea. That's, they call it the axis of evil. In the old days, you had the axis of evil. Here we have a modern day axis of evil. These are powerful countries, very heavy nuclear, which is the biggest threat.
Yeah.
The biggest threat is not global warming, where the ocean's going to rise one eighth of an inch over the next 400 years. And you'll have more oceanfront property, right? The biggest threat is not that. The biggest threat is nuclear warming, because we have 5 countries
Well,
now that
yeah.
have significant nuclear power, and we have to not allow anything to happen with stupid people like Biden.
I completely
You know,
agree
I-
because of the fact that Joe Biden does not even know how to protect America. So never mind that if we do get ourselves into a war or if another country tries to start a war with us. It's just pathetic. It really is.
But the thing that they really is making them angry is what Kamala and Biden have allowed to happen to the economy. It's a disaster with inflation. The inflation, it
Yeah.
doesn't matter what you make. The inflation has eaten you alive. If you're a worker or if you're just a middle income person, you can't afford. 4 years
I
ago,
completely agree with this because now everything is double. Gas prices are double. Grocery store prices are double. And interest rates are double. Imagine you can't afford your bills. You put it on the credit card. You're like, okay, I'm going to pay it off slowly. Your credit card rate's at 28%. Never mind that paying it off slowly. Yeah, right. That's not going to work. Not at all.
5 years ago, people were saving a lot of money. Today, they're using
Yeah.
all their money and
Yeah.
borrowing money just to live.
Exactly.
It's a horrible thing
Right.
that's happening. And we'll end that
Well, I
quickly.
think a lot.
Good. We should. We
But-
definitely should end that quickly because of the fact that, I mean, again, I was saving under Trump. I was investing in the economy. I still am investing in the economy, but now everything's low. Everything was up. I made thousands and thousands of dollars under Trump's economy. Joe Biden's economy, boom, everything plummets. I was like $5,000 up in my stock portfolio. Now I'm $1,000 up. That's not good. That went down significantly. We need all these stocks to go back up, really, because of all these people that are on retirements too. They're reliant on the stock market.
Cars don't require too much. We have to bring energy
Yeah.
prices down.
Completely
Energy
agree.
started it. The price of gasoline. Now your cars don't require too much gasoline, so you have a good, and you do make a great product. I have to say, I have to be honest with you.
Thank
That
you.
doesn't mean everybody should have an electric car, but these are minor details. But your product is incredible. But the
Thank you.
gasoline, Elon, is the cost of energy. Not only gasoline, it's the cost of heating your house and cooling your house. That has
Sure.
to come down. It's gone up 100%, 150, and 200%, and that has to come down. When that comes down, and we're going to
Yeah.
drill, baby, drill. They stopped drilling, and then they went back to drilling because they went back to the Trump policy. But if they won the day after they get into office, this country will go out of business because they're going to go to an energy policy that's not sustainable. Wind and different things. You're not going to have anything.
Yeah.
I completely agree. And you can even, I really wish that Trump actually made this argument here that Tim Walz in Minneapolis actually said by 2040 you must be 100% on renewable energy at all. Like, you cannot have any gasoline, coal, anything besides solar, wind, and renewable energy solutions. That's unobtainable. You cannot be at that point by 2040. We're not ready. Our grid is going to be overwhelmed. We can look at some places in California where this very thing was actually tried, and you can see that it failed every single time. Every single time we come across a heat wave in California, you need to shut off your AC at certain times. You cannot dry your clothes at certain times. You can't charge your EV at certain times. How are you supposed to live? Our grid is overwhelmed. We're trying to switch from all of these sources that are actually really good, that like the coal burning and stuff like that, where it does not pollute the air. It actually is a lot better for us too. There used to be this coal power plant next to where I live, and my grandfather used to work there as an engineer, and he was telling me all these stories about this energy plant here, and they used so much water that to actually cool the coal, and they had this huge turbine type thing that used to let all of the water vapor into the air, and this was purely water vapor. He was an engineer. He's not a Republican. He's a Democrat, so there would be no reason why he would be quote-unquote lying. There's no biases at all, and he was saying that it was purely all water vapor, and he said that there was actually just mechanisms within that water vapor that would actually test the water vapor, and if it was literally 1 part per million too much of a certain thing, it would shut down the whole entire plant. So he had to make sure that every single system that it can actually check the quality is actually up and running, because if it wasn't, they would get shut down. So all of the water vapor they would use from the city water supply, they would use so much millions of gallons per day to actually put out all of the coal that they were actually using. It would go up into the air. Like I said, it was just purely water vapor. Everybody had nice electric that was made just in their city, so it was nice and cheap. All the water supply in the city was a lot more clean because so much new water was getting produced every single day because the power plant was actually using that. And there was so many different things that was actually to benefit the city, but of course they can't have that benefit anymore because they shut down the power plant and they knocked it down. It's not even like they can use it again. No, they knocked down the whole entire power plant. So you can't even use the equipment anymore, even if you wanted to use it. It's disgusting. It really is.
You're a big fan of the AI, and I have to say that AI, and this is shocking to me, but AI requires twice the energy that the country already produces for everything. So we're going to have to build a lot of energy if our country will be competitive with China, because that's our primary competitor for this on the AI. You're going to need a lot of electricity. You're going to need tremendous electricity, like almost double what we produce now for the whole country, if you can believe it.
And I completely agree with that because of the fact that we need to switch to actually non-renewable energy solutions, because renewable energy solutions are not giving us that amount. I mean, we can switch to some, like on our houses, we can have our solar panels, which, I mean, again, they last 50 years, and then what do we do with them afterwards? We throw them in the city dump. So, I mean, if you want to say that they actually help us in the long run, whatever, I'm not really saying that. I'm saying in the aspect of, let's just see what we can actually do in terms of actually making the most out of the systems that we already have. And then in conjunction with making more electric, we can have those solar panels, we can have those wind turbines in certain places, which wind turbines kill bald eagles, which is the American eagle. And because of that, we should not have those things in certain areas because birds fly into them. It kills the birds. So I don't really like wind turbines that much. And it actually, believe it or not, takes electric to start the wind turbine, and then the wind keeps it going. So you can only have the wind turbine on certain days. It's just too much. Again, I didn't really agree with the wind turbine so much. I do like the solar, and I also like the in some of the rivers they have the water generation turning, and that actually produces electric too. So we can have some of those. We can have some of the solar, and then we can try some different things. We can try some nuclear in some of the mountains, maybe in Arizona mountains. We can have some of that. We can have some of that in the California mountains and stuff like that. We can try or the Nevada mountains. We can try some of those mountains, and we can try to make some nuclear energy within those mountains, because if nuclear does explode, then we can have that confined to that one mountain. But the thing is, we should try all these different solutions and not just be confined to quote unquote solar or water or wind. We should just be trying to expand to different segments to see what we can best make more electric for our country. And if we make so much more electric, then the actually production of electric is going to be so high, and the supply is going to go up, obviously, if we make more electric. But then the demand is going to stay relatively the same, and the supply went up, then the electric cost for everybody will go significantly down. So that's going to be a lot better off for a lot more people. And if we drill, baby, drill, like Trump is saying, like I said, the supply goes up, the demand stays relatively the same, then the price per unit is going to go down for the average American, and that's going to save so much more people so much more money. That's exactly why our grocery prices have skyrocketed too, because now you need to fill up all these big semi trucks with gasoline, or not even just gasoline, diesel. And diesel is very expensive if you did look at the gas stations, and you can see that that because of the fact that they needed to buy that, then that's exactly why we need to produce more diesel and gasoline, because that will bring those prices down.
Most prosperous countries in the world, in the 30s, 40s, and because of bad government policy, it ruined the country.
Completely agree.
And if you take Venezuela, for example, Venezuela should be incredibly prosperous.
They should.
They have phenomenal reserves of everything, oil, everything.
I completely agree with what Elon Musk is saying here. And the thing is that when they had a capitalistic-based country, they were very prosperous because of the fact that they had all of these resources that they can sell, that they can actually produce there in Venezuela. But then as soon as a government, a tyrannical communist government took over, then that's exactly how they stopped producing. They stopped having all these businesses moved out, and then the quality of living went down, 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 and then everybody's stuck in Venezuela with nothing. The economy is completely collapsed because of the tyrannical government that they have there in Venezuela. That's exactly why a capitalistic-based country is a lot better off for the American, or not just Americans, but just for the citizens of Venezuela and every single other country. A capitalistic-based society is a lot better. Of course, because now we have the capitalistic tendencies of these very businesses to make the quality of living actually better. That's why when we can look back at when everybody had jobs, I mean, you can see when everybody had jobs here in America and people worked at factories, yes, the quality of life were not good, but everybody had jobs. Everybody could find a job. Everybody was working at the factory for long hours. You can say what you will about those very things, but if we continue down those lines, we will turn into a slowly of like a second nature China. But the thing is, we should give and take. We should have some regulations on what workers have for standards and stuff like that. But then we can't go too far, because those very businesses will move out of America and go into somewhere cheaper like China in a heartbeat. I mean, you can look at all of the deals that we America made with all of these former car manufacturers and all of these other manufacturers in the past, and we said, listen, we'll give you billions of dollars if you stay here in America. They take the billions of dollars, they look at the time and they said, well, what does this expire in 5 years? Well, 5 years, we're going to move out. So, of course, that's exactly what they do to take advantage of America. It really is very sad.
And it should be prosperous, but if the government's wrong, it impoverishes the people.
It does.
And so I think we should not be complacent in the United States in thinking that and taking our prosperity for granted, because if with bad government policy, we can run the country into the ground.
We could.
That's just something people should bear in mind. Don't take prosperity for granted.
Well, think of education. So we're ranked at the bottom of every list of the top 40. We're ranked number 40, number 38. Norway, Switzerland, Sweden, different countries are ranked good. Actually, China's pretty close to the top. They're a top 6 or 7. But we're ranked at the bottom, almost at the bottom, 38, 39, 40. In other words, horrible. And yet we spend more per pupil than any other country in the world. So we spend more. And what I'm going to do, one of the first acts, and this is where I need an Elon Musk. I need somebody that has a lot of strength and courage and smarts. I want to close up Department of Education, move education back to the states.
Yeah.
where states like Iowa, where states like Idaho, not every state will do great because states that basically aren't doing good now. You look at Gavin Newsom, the governor of California. He he's terrible. He does a terrible job. So he's not going to do great with education.
But not just that. Governor Newsom is just a slight problem with the Democratic policies that they're trying to implement. They're trying to implement an agenda that is not actually education, but it's just liberalism. That's what they're teaching the kids, liberalism. And when they say quote-unquote democracy, that's what they mean. So they teach kids quote-unquote democracy, but what they really teach the kids is liberalism. And when you go and you look at all of these Democratic governors that are actually going and passing laws for their education system, you can see Governor Newsom in California, but you can also see something worse, like Tim Walz, which is the vice presidential candidate that's actually putting tampons in the boys' bathroom. So never mind the education that they're getting in Minneapolis, or Minnesota, I should say. Minnesota, they're getting the worst education because now they're being taught that boys can have periods. It just does not make any sense whatsoever. That's not an education that Americans should have. Americans should have an actual true education. Liberal in the aspect of the classical sense, not liberalism in the formal, in the present sense. It's just the reality of the situation here.
Of the 50, I would bet that 35 would do great, and 15 of them, or 20 of them, will be as good as Norway. Norway is considered great. You can name them. I mean, they're so good. Some of these countries are so good. But if you go into some of these really well-run states, we have states that don't know what debt is. We have states that have low taxes, no debt, everybody working. They're really well-run.
I completely agree with that. But not only that, but also, if we pay attention to the education system here in America, we have people that are graduating high school that does not even know what the former presidents even were, what the founding fathers actually did, what the founding fathers actually were. They can't name the people that were on Mount Everest. They can't name the people that actually did influential things in America. They can't even do math in some of these cities. Like, what are we even doing here in America if we have an education system that is not even teaching kids the right things that you actually need to actually get jobs and to actually have a life that's actually going to make you money in the long run, to get a good job? Like, what's the point of an education system if we're spending billions of dollars on something and it's not churning out anything? It's very sad. I mean, I have zero to no words about this, but I have a deep dive on the education system that will be coming out in the next few weeks. It's sad. It really is when we start looking into the reality of the situation here.
I said to Vladimir Putin, I said, don't do it. You can't do it, Vladimir. You do it, it's going to be a bad day. You cannot do it. And I told him things that what I do. And he said, no way. And I said, way. And it's the last time we ever had the conversation.
I completely agree with that. And I think that he could have worded it just a little bit better because of the fact that he explained this very situation and this very call in the past. And he explained it very, very good. I think that it was just in the moment for him. But the thing is, he said, listen, to Vladimir Putin, he said, listen, if you go and invade Ukraine, we will bomb you. And then Putin said, well, I don't know about that. I highly doubt that you will. And he's like, listen, Vladimir Putin, if there's a 5% chance that I will bomb you, will you do it? And Vladimir said, no. And Trump said, okay, don't do it. And that's the last conversation that they had about this because he threatened it's peace through strength. That's exactly what America has. We put the foot down. We said, we will not put up with your BS. Vladimir Putin, you're not going to do this. And Vladimir Putin's like, well, I mean, I don't know. What is he going to push the tweet button? Is he going to push the red button? Is he going to blow up our country? I don't know, but I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to take that risk. That's exactly what we should have in America. We should have peace through strength. We don't even need to use our weapons because other people are just scared of us that we might use our weapons. That's exactly it here.
Don't have a president right
You
now.
don't have a president. And she's going to be worse than him because she is a San Francisco liberal who destroyed San Francisco, and then as Attorney General, she destroyed California. You talk about location, and we're talking about the sun and the water and all. There's nothing better than California. She has destroyed that. She was the
Yeah.
original DA. She was the original in San Francisco. She was the original Attorney General in California. What she has done to California is, well, you know better than I do. You just left California for a lot of those reasons. And what she's done with crime, with cashless bail, where you kill somebody. I mean, we have states there you kill somebody and they let you out right away. I mean, you don't have to even put up, and then they never find the people unless they kill again, and then they let them out again. Our country is becoming a very dangerous place.
It is.
And she is a radical left San Francisco liberal, and now she's trying to protect. Now she's looking like she wants to be more Trump than Trump.
Yeah, exactly. I
Basically.
completely agree with that because she's running ads about how she was tough on crime and tough on border security. She definitely was not tough on border security. It just doesn't make any sense here because that's just not true.
Lawfare, I think,
Well,
we need to be concerned about.
what they've done to this country.
Obviously.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we just won the big case in Florida. This was a Biden administration did something that's never been done in this country, and that's go after their political opponent, me, with this nonsense and just nonsense. And the big case in Florida we won, but they always pick a judge and a jury, and they use local DAs, they use the local attorney generals, like Fani, Fani, spelled Fani, Fani. And it's all a big hoax, and it's all run from there. Like in Manhattan, one of the top people from the Justice Department went in, ran Manhattan, ran the state. The Letitia James deal was run by a person from the Department of Justice, Biden. They've never done this before, and they set up a very bad precedent. It's called lawfare, warfare. It's a terrible thing, and never happened in our country. It does happen in banana republics and
I completely agree with that because of the fact that government officials don't normally go into private organizations and private bureaucracies here in America to prosecute a chief political rival of the president of America. They don't normally do this. And I completely agree. This was what exactly happens in banana republics and communistic countries across the world. That's exactly what they do. They go and they prosecute their political rivals. It's sad, it's pathetic, and it should not happen here in America. It's true. It really is.
Countries, but it's never happened. And the incredible thing is it actually drove my numbers up.
Exactly.
Because people see, fortunately I have a platform like you, or, in all fairness, like a conversation like this, where I can talk about it and people understand. I mean, you fight for election integrity and you end up getting indicted because you're fighting for election integrity. And when the day comes that you can't fight for election integrity, you don't have a country anymore. So what happens is they went after their political opponent, me. Now Biden's, close to vegetable stage, in my opinion.
Yeah, I completely agree with that because of the fact that now Joe Biden's not even paying attention to what's happening. Of course, the justice system is completely weaponized, and it's set up a very, very bad precedent for this country because of the fact that this should not happen in our polite society. This should not happen in America, and it's very, very true that if it does happen, it's because of the fact that they're trying to target their political rival, and they did target their political rival, and that was Trump. It's very, very sad, and it's a sad reality that it actually did happen because it's not supposed to happen. We should have things in place to actually prevent this from actually happening because of the fact that in a democracy, or not a complete democracy, but a republican, a democratic republic like what we have here, it should not happen. So, of course, the people need to choose who they will vote for in November, and they need to remember that they're going over who is actually targeting their political rival. Is Trump locking up his political rivals? No. Joe Biden is locking up his political rivals. That's exactly what's happening here. And I completely agree with this next thing. He says that the people just want the American dream back. It's true.
People in America want to feel excited and inspired about the future. They want to feel like the future is going to be better than the past, and that America is going to do things that are greater than we've done in the past, reach new heights that make you proud to be an American.
They want the American dream back. They want the American dream back more important than anything else. It's like you don't have that today because the people, they've been just sucked. They see incompetent people running our, you know, the Biden thing is very interesting. People just found him to be incompetent.
Yeah.
And when I debated him, I was like, is this for real? It was.
Yeah, it's just it was
It
just
really
absurd.
is. He literally
If you
fell asleep on stage. It literally is. He fell asleep on stage, and people found out who he really is because the media never had their spin in live time to actually cover up the seniority of Joe Biden. And that's exactly when people found out who the real Joe Biden actually is, and that's when he had to step out of the race forcefully from the Democratic Party.
Her
think that
running mate approved, signed into legislation, tampons in boys'
I completely
bathrooms.
agree.
Okay, now
yeah,
that's
yeah,
all
that's
I have
weird.
to hear. Tampons in
Literally.
boys'
That's weird.
bathrooms, and that
Yeah.
means she
Yeah,
believes in that too. I mean,
yeah, that's
she
not
picked
okay.
this guy because he was the closest to her. A lot of people thought she'd pick sort of the opposite,
Yeah.
but she picked an anti-Israel radical left person. But she is far worse, they
Yeah.
say, than Bernie Sanders. If we have her as a president, if we have a Democrat at this moment as the president, I don't think our country can survive.
No, exactly, because it's going to get destroyed. It really is. And it's sad because now we're just going to continue down the same exact path that we've been facing. And it's just going to get worse and worse and worse and worse. And we will see a big war. It's disgusting. It really is.
Elon, just
So
getting back to the FDA for 1 second, I got something done called Right to Try. This is where you can go in and if you're terminally ill, you can use a space age, medicine or whatever it may be. We have the best doctors, the best labs in the world. We really do. And but people would go to other countries because you couldn't use the product, even if they thought it worked, because it's going through the FDA. I got it approved
yeah,
where you can
yeah,
you basically you look, nobody wanted, the doctors didn't want it because of the liability, the country didn't want it, our country, because they didn't want to get sued. These are people terminally ill. The insurance companies didn't want it, and the pharmaceutical companies, nobody wanted it. I got everybody into a room, and we came up with an agreement that you won't get sued. And also, they didn't want it on their record. If somebody's terminally ill and they die after taking a drug, they didn't want that on their record. So we set a separate list. If somebody was, so it wouldn't count as a negative.
yeah,
Okay. And as you know, we got it
yeah,
done. We have saved Right to Try. They've been trying to get this done for 58
yeah,
years, and it sounds simple, but it wasn't because
Yeah, I completely agree. I mean, he's making it sound more simple than it actually is. It's not that simple. It is very complex, right, to try. But of course, I like the fact that he's actually explaining in layman's terms because of the fact that most Americans will actually understand this in layman's terms. A lot of people don't really. I talk to some people that are more in the upper educationist scale. They're like, "Well, Trump speaks in terms of layman's terms." Yeah, of course, he talks in layman's terms so people understand. I mean, what you're not understanding here is that a lot of people don't really understand when you start talking in complexities and you start talking into big words like that. I mean, of course, Trump is so used to talking to the American people that he's just used to it. He's like, "Listen, you're a dumb," and he just goes and he knows exactly what to say into layman's terms so many people understand it. Of course, he's dumbing down this right to try so a lot of people understand it because he's not going to sit there and then have the notebook out and then he's going to explain the exact definition. People are going to fall asleep, but he's like, "Listen, a lot of people didn't want it. I got it passed. You're welcome." Like, it's just true. I mean, of course, if you are terminally ill and you want to try a medicine and you have no other chance and you just want to try this one because you researched that it might help you, then you should have the right to try it. You really should. You shouldn't have to go to another country.
I mean, the insurance companies, nobody wanted it, but we got it done.
sure,
Somebody signs, you sign a document that you're not going to sue the insurance companies, the country, you're not going to sue anybody. And we got it done. And we're saving tens of thousands of lives. Right to Try. Hopefully, you never need it. But if you
yeah,
do, you don't have to travel to Asia. People,
right,
if they had money, they go to
yeah,
Asia, they go
sure,
to Europe. If they don't have money, they go home and die. That's what happened. They'd go home and
yeah,
die.
I
Yeah,
Well,
I
believe it.
completely
Elon,
agree with
just
So
that because they have no other chance. If they tried all the medicines that is actually on the books already, then they have no other opportunity to actually survive. So this is a lot better than what the alternative would have been.
these are issues that I think most people in America would agree with, which is
Yeah.
that we want safe and clean cities, we want secure borders,
Yep.
we want sensible government spending, We want to restore both the perception and reality of respect in the judicial system. Just, stop the lawfare, and I think that's like. And how are those even right wing positions? I think those are that's just common
It
sense,
is. It
and
really
and
is.
that's. I mean, would you agree with that?
100%.
I completely agree with that too. I mean, it's just this is exactly how people should explain it. If you want clean cities, if you don't want illegal aliens coming into this country and killing you, the legal citizen, then vote Trump. Vote for Republicans up and down the ballot. It's true.
If you look at my record, I've actually been. I'm not like some they try to paint me as like a far right guy, which is absurd because I'm like making electric vehicles and solar and batteries helping with the environment, and and I actually I supported Obama. I stood in line for 6 hours to shake Obama's hand when he was running for president, and so it's not like I'm like some sort of dyed in the wool long term Republican. I call myself uh, historically a moderate Democrat,
Yeah.
but now I feel like we're really at a critical juncture for the country, and uh, I think a lot of people thought the Biden administration would be a moderate administration, but it's not, and obviously we're just going to see an even further left uh, administration with Kamala. That's my honest opinion. I mean, her dad is literally. I mean, she was brought up as an actual. Her dad is a Marxist economist. You can Google it. I mean, it's not a. We're not making this up. That's how she was brought up. So,
Yeah.
and we want to have a future that is prosperous, and I think we're just at this critical juncture, and I think this is a case of the America is going to at a fork in the road,
It's true.
and I think it will take if the path to, like you are the path to prosperity, and I think Kamala is the opposite.
I
Then
completely
that's
agree with that because of the fact that she's lied about every single thing so far in this campaign, and it's only been like less than a month. Kamala Harris was not born in a low income family and she had to scrape by. No, both of her parents were very wealthy people. They were professors. So she had the good life. She went to high school in Europe. She went to the one of the best colleges that she could possibly go to. She had a good life. And she's going to sit here and act like she didn't have a good life and act like she was on low income scale of things. No, she definitely was not. She had money, her family had money, and she grew up in a really good neighborhood. She grew up in a really good way with two parents in the household, and then she does not even care about that, and she completely makes everything up. She's a lie and she's a phony, and she's a copycat too because she's just copying all of Trump's policies. It's really sad. It's a phony.
I mean, that's my honest opinion. I'm gonna get attacked like crazy, and I've also experienced quite a bit of lawfare myself. And but I'm just trying to tell people my honest opinion,
Yeah.
and I haven't been really active in politics before, and I'm just trying to point out that my track record historically has been moderate, if not moderate, slightly left, and so this is to people out there who are in the moderate camp to say I think you should support um, Donald Trump for president. And I think it's actually a very important junction in the road, and we're in deep trouble if it goes the other way.
I completely
So
agree
if you
with that. I completely agree with that because of the fact that this economy will be down the drain even more than it already is. We will get into a war, and it will not be good for the American people whatsoever. It's pathetic. It really is.
Congratulate you. You've done an amazing job. You have definitely got a fertile mind. We can talk. You and I can talk about
Well,
rockets
see,
and
it's kind of you to say thank you.
tunnels. We can talk about tunnels and rockets and electric cars. So many things. And now you're into the AI, and that's going to be another beauty, I'll say. So
Yeah.
it's an amazing thing you've done, Elon. It's an amazing thing, and I
Well,
congratulate you.
I mean, thank you. And well, I mean, I just say here, here's to an exciting, inspiring future that people can look forward to and be optimistic and excited about what happens next. And that's the kind of future that I think you will bring as president, and that's why I endorse you.
Well, I appreciate that. That endorsement meant a lot to me. Not all endorsements mean that much, to be honest. Your endorsement meant a lot. And, we have a phrase, make America great again. It's pretty simple, but it really says that we want to make America great again. And we can do it.
Yeah.
We can do it now. But if we were going to suffer another 4 years like we've suffered for the last 4 years, I'm not sure the country can ever come back.
No.
That's how bad it is.
No,
It's so bad.
it is really bad. And it's very, very true too, because of the fact that, yeah, not everybody's endorsement means that much, but Elon Musk is something particular because of the fact that Elon Musk isn't the typical Republican, isn't the typical person that's just like a off-brand person. Like, he's very influential. He is at the forefront of Tesla, which is a very innovative American car company. And it's very, very interesting seeing the development of Elon Musk. And he's one of the most influential people on the right, too. And, of course, a lot of people don't like to really give Joe Rogan that much of a credit, but I like to give Joe Rogan credit. Joe Rogan is another person, very, very friendly towards the Republicans, has people on his show that's on the Republican side. Very, very conservative people on his show, because he just wants to have everybody on his show. He just wants to give everybody the time to actually break down exactly what they believe and stuff like that. So, yeah, Joe Rogan is another person that if he was to endorse Trump, that would be a very, very good thing. And so far, he has not endorsed anybody, even though a lot of people have been attacking him for saying nice things about RFK Jr. But the thing is here, Joe Rogan did not endorse anybody, and it would be just like that. Very, very interesting to have another conversation if Joe Rogan was to be involved, Elon Musk and Trump. That would break the internet even more than it already did before. And it would be even more interesting to have a debate between Kamala Harris, Trump, facilitated by Joe Rogan, and then Kamala Harris can choose a left-wing person. So a right-wing-ish person and then a left-wing-ish person. And then that would be the exact debate that we should have, a regular conversation here on X. If they sort out their problems and stuff like that, then yeah, we can have this here on X, and people can listen to the conversation. It'll be like 5 hours long, and you can see exactly who you're going to be voting for, instead of the stupid debate that we see on TV that's scripted, that's prepared for. You can already tell that they already know exactly what they're going to say to each other. They have their moments, like with Kamala Harris. Oh, be quiet. I'm speaking. I'm speaking. Like, what are you even talking about? Like, he wasn't even speaking over you. And of course, they have their moments, and it's already prepared. Nothing's actually real in this debate here.
And if I felt it was important, and if I had to do it over again, you probably think I'm crazy for doing it, actually. But if I had to do it over again, I would have done it over again, because this is so much more important than me or my life. We're going to save this country. This country is going down.
I completely agree with this, because this is very, very important for him to say so, because he said that if he was to turn back the time, he would do it over again. And this is very important, too, because he almost got killed. Like, a lot of people don't really realize the fact that if he was to turn back the time and he had the opportunity to not possibly get his head blown off, then what people don't realize is that he could have escaped this if he chose not to opt into doing this. And of course, he chose to do it again. And I completely believe him when he says that he will do it again, because of the fact that he cares about our country so much. He really does care about our country so much. So with that being said, that's the clips that we have so far of the whole entire conversation. I really advise you to listen to the whole entire thing. If you want to see exactly what is the whole entire debate, then I would really advise you to watch the whole entire thing. But breaking news just came out that there is a search now. Breaking news came out yesterday, but there is a very big situation that happened yesterday while this interview was actually going on, that somebody actually broke into the Trump campaign office in Virginia. And now people are actually searching for the man that actually did it. This location is actually 30 miles northwest of Washington, D.C., and the sheriff's office tweeted out that it is rare to have an office for a political campaign or a party broken into, and that we are determined to identify the suspect, investigate why it happened, and determined that what they may have taken, as well as what they left behind. So they're looking for this guy. They can see that they know exactly who actually broke into the Trump campaign office. In there, I will show that on screen here, because of the fact that that is not, I mean, you obviously can't break into someone's house. This happened about 12 hours ago at the point that I'm actually shooting this video here. And the the sheriff's office has responded to a call about a burglary at 9 p.m. local time on August 11th. According to the surveillance footage, the suspect is a white male who entered the building donning a dark hat and a backpack. The investigation is ongoing, and it is unclear if anyone has stole anything from the office. It's an office park area, kind of a remote office park area, so would not have been awful lot of people there around the building on Sunday, the spokesperson said, according to the Washington Post. Once we knew who was behind the motivation, we'll have a second statement. The Republican Party of Virginia Chairman Rich Anderson said that he is waiting to see the LCSO investigation reveals. I got a call from my people this morning telling me that an intruder had somehow made his way in, and they've handed it off to the county sheriff office. It's really in their hands, so we're just going to wait and see. Trump was polling well in Virginia against President Joe Biden with a slight lead before Biden dropped out. According to an average of polls, Vice President Kamala Harris has about a 2.6 percentage point ahead of Joe Biden in recent polls in the state, which is much lower than the Biden's margin of victory in 2020. So, of course, this is within the margin of error. During a rally earlier this year, Chesapeake GOP Governor Glenn Youngkin promised to help Trump flip Virginia in November. Mr. Trump is the best Trump rally. This is the best Trump rally you have ever had and that you're going to do in Virginia. And yes, on behalf of 8.7 million Virginians, Mr. President, we're going to do the work to get you back in the White House, he said at the rally of around 10,000 people. So yeah, so of course there is there's an attack happening on Trump, and that's because of the fact that he wanted to go and have this interview with Elon Musk, and that is not scripted. And a lot of people around the globe was trying to shut this conversation down. And it's very, very important that this conversation actually kept going, and this conversation actually stood strong because of the fact that people need to see an unscripted version of Trump in a regular conversation. That's how we, the people, can actually make our opinions actually credible if we know what the person that we're voting for actually stands for 3 hours. You don't have something prepared for 3 hours because you don't know what questions are going to be asked. You don't have any time to actually prepare other than actually knowing the facts of what you're about to talk about, knowing the facts of what's been going on so you can actually break it down in the interview. So it's very, very good. I think we should have a Kamala Harris interview just like this, but of course it's not going to happen whatsoever. Not in a million years will this ever happen because Kamala Harris cannot do anything remotely possible along this nature. So with that being said, we're going to sum up this episode here. If you did like this breakdown of the Trump interview, then please like and subscribe down below because we do post new episodes of the show every single Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. I know it's Tuesday, but since this interview happened yesterday, I watched it live and I did the breakdown for you guys today. Because of the fact that this is breaking news, we did do the extra show today. So I hope you did enjoy this. Like and subscribe down below because we will be here live on the debate. However many debates there's going to be, we will be here live. So with that being said, thank you all for watching, thank you all for listening, and I hope they have a great rest of your day. Bye.